Hello everyone, I'm Mahesh and I'm Senior Test Automation Architect with 14 years of experience in software test automation. I have the knowledge on the multiple technologies like Java, C Sharp, Python, then worked on the R language, okay, along with the different frameworks like Selenium, then APPIUM, or different technologies like REST assured, load and performance, mobile automation. So I have particularly worked on the 5 years with one of the company in R&D department where I worked on these technologies. So not only this, I worked on the desktop automation as well. Now there are two patents on my name. One is on the backnet execution, the third-party backnet protocol, and another one is on the framework, the test automation framework. Now, about my education, I have finished my Bachelor of Engineering B in Computers. Also, I have finished my Master of Administration MBA in IT and International Business. Now, when we talked about what we did till now, so as of now, socially, I have, helped near about 2,000 plus people to learn the test automation. Out of that, 1K plus, 1,000 people got opportunity in renowned organization to work on the test automation. Okay, and now about my hobbies, so I love coding. I love the coding where we can we can explore more on the different technologies where I can work most of the time. Now uh, if you can see this, these technologies and about these automation sessions, why we have started in this COVID pandemic. We know there are a lot of challenges people are facing due to the loss of jobs, along with other areas like they were missing some of the things also. So that's the reason where we have started, and we are planning to start these sessions or every alternate day, and we are having some of the plans like on week every week to week we are going to cover different technologies. Now if we can talk about the technologies, so in this week first we are going to cover most of the BDD areas. So bear with me some of your time. Okay, so I'll start from the basic and we'll go towards the advanced level. Okay, so that you can understand how your BDD and how the BDD works. Okay, so apart from this, in my current role, I explore new technologies and tools in the market, also introduce them in our test processes and bring value to the organization, and also providing technical architecture, defining the strategic direction for testing automation practices, and serving as an expert in a defining and the rolling out standard automation frameworks. And so let's begin with the some of the new things that we are going to see. So now in the BDD, before I start with BDD, what I can tell you the how the automation testing approach change in industry. So if we can see, so record and play is the first. Then second cycle says code test execution. In my third, it says open source automation. In the fourth, we can say TDD, that is test driven development, and fifth is behavior driven development. So now when we talked about record and play, so that is nothing but basic automation. Okay, it is a way to run your test without programming knowledge. That means I can simply execute my simply execution of any of the recording tool, and then simply execute that script like we do have the same facility in QTP RFT. Okay, and that allows you to manually perform actions in the browser and save them as a test. You can then take this test and rerun it with your click, and making a regression and browser testing infinitely faster, because no need to write any of the logic. You just record it and just play those scripts. So this means that manual testers or the testers that are still new to automation can easily create automated tests. And in addition to this, it allows other roles such as product managers or your developers, designers, and even marketers participate in testing without having to learn an entirely new technology or a tool. Okay, so that's why record and play is the basic and startup solution for test automation. And the value is the most prominent for teams that are still transitioning from mostly manual testing to include some of the automation in order to speed up their testing and help integrate it earlier in the software development lifecycle. And while record and play, it may not be the ideal solution for teams who are well versed in the details of automation tools and technology. And there was a huge maintenance in record and play due to regular changes in application and its CSS. That means if any of the CSS change, you need to do the maintenance to all the scripts, all the test suits. Those are completely record and play. Those are you just recorded for only to play. Okay, so that is your first block of this testing approach. Now second block says a code test execution. Now when we talked about code test execution, it supports your record and playback, where they focus mostly on testers. Like if you can think about the QTP, then where the testers start writing his automated scripts. Okay, it uses an active screen to record the scripts and helps the tester to referring the screen object properties. That means it will give you all the detailed screen object properties, and you can just use those for your future references. That means you can build your blocks, build your logic based on the same recorded scripts. Okay, and it uses an active screen to record scripts, and it helps tester in referring that screen objects which I told. So both technical as well as non-technical testers are involved in this code test execution. Now focus changes from desktop application automation to the web-based application automation. In this particular this second era, what happened mostly are data-driven, keyword-driven, and hybrid-driven design patterns are introduced, and you can develop web application in any language and can be automated using a basic scripting language like the VB script. So this is how the code test execution phase was started. Okay, now in code test execution phase, we do have the QTP and other or RFT tools which will provide you this benefit. Then comes very important phase, that is your open source automation. Now, when we talked about the open source means the full code base or the source is available freely to customize. That is what we call the open source. We have the very good example of open source, that is your Android. So Android is an open source. Now, when we talked about the open source, it refers something people can modify and share because its design is publicly accessible. Okay, now where automation tools or libraries are open to customize and used. So one of the very majorly used tool or the libraries in this era is like Selenium. Now Selenium uses a WebDriver for Chrome in order to test commands and process the web pages to get to the data you need. It is compatible with almost all programming languages available, and it gives you the wide variety of commands and options which you can manipulate. So when we talked about Selenium, Selenium supports multiple languages like Java, C Sharp, Python, Ruby, or now JavaScript and others. Okay, and when you can write your language bindings in any of this particular language, and that can be communicate to the browser. So there are the architecture of WebDriver. I'll take one of the session on WebDriver architecture also in future. So with that WebDriver architecture where the Google Closure libraries and atoms are used, which will communicate and which will work. Now here the focus is on developer and tester both, because Selenium supports multiple languages. So if the developer he develops any of the web application in any of the language like C Sharp or any of the Java or any Python or any other programming language, they can also write their automated script because they know the language bindings. So that's how Selenium focus on developer as well as tester both. But very importantly, when open source automation, this phase comes into the picture here. Important thing comes is the technical knowledge and the skill set for the testers. Now, the fourth, so that is how this phase is important. Now, the fourth phase that comes is your test driven development. When we talked about the test driven development, that is your TDD. Now, TDD completely turns the traditional development around. When you first go to the implement a new feature, the first question that you ask is whether the existing design is the best design possible that enables you to implement that functionality. If so, you proceed via TFD, that is test first development approach. If not, you can refactor it locally to change the portion of the design affected by the new feature. And you can enable that helps you to enable and to add that feature as easy as possible, because you can write the test first and then development. So as a result, you will always be improving the quality of your design, thereby making it easier to work within this feature. Now, instead of writing functional code first and then you're testing code as an afterthought, if you write it at all, you instead write your test code before your functional code. So, if you do so in very small steps, one test and a small bit of corresponding functional code at a time. Okay, so you can execute that. And the programmer taking a TDD approach refuses to write a new function until there is a present. In fact, they refuse to add even a single line of code until a test exists for it. Now, once the test is in place, they then do the work required to ensure that test suite now passes. So your code may break several existing tests as well as the new one. Now, this sounds simple in principle, but when you are first learning to take the TDD approach, it proves and requires a great discipline, because it is easy to slip and write the functional code, and because without that first writing your new test. And one of the advantages of pair programming is that your pair helps you to stay on track. So acceptance is another additional benefit of this TDD, that is acceptance driven, that is ATDD, that is acceptance test driven development. And ATD, you can write a single acceptance test or a behavioral specification depending on your preferred terminology, and then just in a production of functionality or code to fulfill that test. Now, the goal of this ATDD is to specify detailed executable requirements for your solution on a just-in-time JIT basis. Okay, and ATDD is also called a behavioral driven development, that is your BDD. So last phase which I'm going to explain you is BDD. Now, behavioral driven development or testing is an extension of your TDD. Now, like in TDD, in BDD also, we write test first and then we add the application code. The major differences that we get to see here is tests are written in plain descriptive English type grammar, or we said a plain Gherkin language. I'll explain that what is Gherkin language and all those things. Okay. Now here we are shifting from thinking in test to thinking in behavior. And here we can collaboration between not only the testers and developers, but between business stakeholders, business analysts, QA team, and developers. Now the cucumber, so in BDD also, if we thought, so BDD, the program manager, either who is not having technical knowledge, or your business analyst, or your stakeholders who don't have any technical knowledge, can understand the scenario written by you. They can just understand the scenario. Most of the time what happened, they can send or they can share the business scenarios, those are required for you to explain. Okay, and in BDD, the Cucumber is a testing framework which supports behavior driven development. Okay, so if we can see, so not only this, we can work on multiple languages in the Cucumber or in the BDD framework. So like Cucumber, we are going to use this framework for the Java. Okay, and it is again a testing framework which supports BDD, and it lets it let us define the application behavior in the plain meaningful English text using the simple grammar defined by a language called Gherkin. Okay, and Cucumber itself is a written in Ruby. So, but it can be used to test the code written in Ruby or other languages also, including your Java or C Sharp or Python. Now, most of the time, your client has some requirement which can be communicated to your product owner or your business analyst. As they understand or understood that requirement, they communicate to project lead, project managers somewhere 60 to 80%. And furthermore, that goes down till developer to 20 to 30%. So if you can, understand if 20 to 30% is what we are receiving, is what we are getting some of the issues. So when development develops any of the application, that's that time it breaks. That's why BDD keeping a very major role in terms of our a test automation. Okay, now if you can see this diagram here, there are the technical user and there is a non-technical user. Now what is the role, a multiple roles, and at a one platform, that is BDD, how that works? So when I talked about non-technical user, they use the BDD and come up with their test cases, or we can say they come up with their scenarios. Also, they can create the business component and define the flow. They said these are the scenarios. These scenarios can be work in this flow, and they run these test cases in the different environments or the platforms. And accessing graphical report, so they can also access the graphical report once your all execution happened. So these are what majorly the non-technical user role in the particular your BDD framework or BDD implementation. Now when we talked about the technical user role, so technical user can create his own test data or the parameterization. So any test data, any data source they can use and make their data source available for their test to execute. Now they can debug, maintain their test and objects. Okay, so these are also technical user role. And then if you can see, they can mention the custom scripts and expand the library. Then they can capture the unique objects and associate with new test. Okay, this is how the people can work. That means the technical user and the non-technical user use this particular platform of BDD. Okay, now when we talked about the BDD in more detail, what I'm going to explain you the how BDD works with the test automation, that is Selenium. So I'm going to show you and explain in coming days, that is BDD work with Selenium plus Java and using the Cucumber framework. Okay, so these are the things that I'm going to explain you. Now let me close this and I can open one notepad. Let me open the notepad. Okay, so I hope you can see these notes. I can just increase the font. Okay, now if we can see, I told you BDD is used a plain Gherkin language. When I said BDD, which used a plain Gherkin language. So Gherkin language is plain English text language where anyone can understand what exactly it was written and they just read and work with that. Now BDD works on the GWT concept. When we say BDD, BDD works with GWT concept. When we talked about GWT concept, G stands for your given, W stands for your when, and T stands for your then. So BDD is used given, when, and then. When we say given, now given is nothing but my precondition. So given is nothing but my precondition. When I said when, so when is nothing but my action, and so it is nothing but my action. And when I say then, that is my expected results or expected results. Okay, so I worked on given, when, and then. So given always allowed me the precondition, when always allows me to actions, and then always allows me the expected results. So this is the concept on which your whole BDD or the Cucumber framework works. I'm going to show you that also in the code base. Now, so to start that work, so what I'll do today, I am going to create a new, let me create a new folder here. Let me create a new folder. That is, I'm going to create the BDD implementation. Okay. I simply write BDD implementation. This BDD implementation is nothing but a workspace for me. Now I'm going to start my Eclipse. I'm going to start my Eclipse and just wait. So I'm going from here and I'm going to select today's, that is BDD implementation is my new workspace. So all our code base will be available within this for the future references. Okay, so let it open. So it may take some time to open my Eclipse. So you need Eclipse. Now when I said Eclipse, Eclipse is an IDE, that is integrated development environment. To write any of your Java or your C# or your Python, any of language, you need one of the IDE. Like I am using Eclipse for Java code to write. Same way, if you are using Microsoft technologies like C#, then you can use Microsoft Visual Studio. If you are working on Python, then you can use PyCharm. If you are working on R language, you can use RStudio. All those are your different IDs. So I am using Eclipse as a new ID for myself. Okay. Now, so this is a very new workspace that I have created, and I'm going to start working on this for the further 1 week or 2 week. Okay. Now I'm going back here, and I said, now what are the things that we have required before we start? So I can go back here. I can go to Windows. Okay, and I can go, sorry, not Windows, I can go to help, and I can go back either on Eclipse Marketplace or install new software. I'm going back to the Eclipse Marketplace, and on the Eclipse Marketplace, first thing that you need to do is you need to install the Cucumber plugin. Okay, you need to install the Cucumber plugin here. So let it open so that I can show you. So Cucumber plugin is required. So okay, here it comes. So I'm just going back here. I can write what I wanted to search. I'm going to write here that I need that Cucumber. Okay, so I simply search that, and once I do my search, I can see there is a Cucumber plugin for your Eclipse. So if you can see, this is the Cucumber Eclipse plugin which you need to install on your Eclipse. So on your Eclipse ID, you need a Cucumber to install first. Okay, so if you can see here, there is a install button. So currently it is installed on my system. That's why you cannot see install here. Like if you can see here on the natural, that is also one of the thing which you require to install. That is again another plugin which you will help you to work on the Cucumber or the BDD. So you can install in this way. Currently it is installed. So how you can get like Cucumber is already installed, so that I can go back on my install tab here. If you wanted to see it is already installed, you can go back on your install tab, and you will see the list of plugins that is already installed on this your particular Eclipse version. Okay, so you'll get all those lists here itself. So if you can see, this Cucumber Eclipse plugin is already installed. Okay, if you wanted to update, you can update. If you wanted to change whatever the things that you wanted to do, you can do. So I don't want to do anything. I already have this Eclipse plugin on my Cucumber Eclipse plugin on my Eclipse, so that I just simply close this. Now I said we need something to start with Cucumber. So I can show you, these are the libraries, those are required always to work on your Cucumber. These are the libraries, those are required to start working on your particular BDD project. So now if I wanted to see this, how we can do this, so if I go back and I can go here in the Maven, I can simply search Cucumber and I can say core, a very basic. So I wanted to search this Cucumber core plus, okay. So if you can see Cucumber core, this is the latest one. I do have somewhere 1.2.5. So currently it is 1.2.6. Okay. So you can download this info.qk. Do not take any other Cucumber core. So you can download this Cucumber core. Okay. This is what you required. You can download this. So you can search any of these libraries, like any of the reference libraries on the Maven site by going to search.maven.org, where you can get all your jar files. Okay, where you will get all your jar files. You can simply download from here. You just click here and you will get that library on your system. Same way you need Cucumber core, same way you need another Cucumber Java, for example. So I just remove this and I say now I need Cucumber Java. So if you can see Cucumber Java, again it is info.qk. Okay, that is also you can download from here. One more time I'm saying, you can download Cucumber Java from your info.qk. Okay, that is very important. Always go to the Maven Central Repository search and you can search any of the repository. There are multiple, like you can find jars and others where you can find the other jars. There are multiple sites, but you can go here itself. Now, once you download all these libraries, I'll share this list also with in this chat window once we finish our live streaming. So once this is finished, once you downloaded all this, you need the gherkin also, which is required to write your feature files in the plain text English language. Okay, so you can get this gherkin as well. You can get this Cucumber test ng also. Now what is Cucumber test ng? So Cucumber test ng will help you to build your framework, okay, using our Cucumber work with your test ng framework. Okay, now same way you have Cucumber reporting as well, so which will help you to build your Cucumber report, which is auto generated reports and all others. Same way you have multiple libraries here, like your JUnit, TestNG, JVM and HTML and all those libraries. Okay, so this library you can download and keep it at one place. Now once that is done, then we need another thing, and that is nothing but we wanted to work Cucumber along with your Selenium scripts. We wanted to work Cucumber with Selenium scripts, so we need to download Selenium. We need to download Selenium. So if I can go back here, I can search Selenium downloads. I go to the Selenium site, that is Selenium download. From here, I can download any latest version of Selenium. Currently, there is a Selenium 4, that is alpha version, so which we can download it from here, and the latest stable version, that is your 3.141.59. Okay, so you can go back here, any of the language binding which you are comfortable with, like your JavaScript, Python, Java, Ruby, any of this language, you simply download from here. So if you can click on this download, it will download the stable version, that is WebDriver 3. If you click on alpha, it will download the WebDriver 4, that is the alpha 4.0 alpha 6 version. Okay, this is how it works. So you can download this, and you can also club to your particular scripts. You can download this, or you can simply download the server from here, the Selenium server. Okay, that will also work. Either you can download this, or either you can download this language bindings. Both should work. Now once it will download, now we need to start our implementation. So I go back here. What I'll do, I will create a new Java project from here. I go back, I create a new Java project. I said Bdd session. Okay, I can say Bdd session 1. Okay, when I say Bdd session 1, so Java coding guideline says always your project name starts with capital followed by the camel case. I said finished. So I have this Bdd session 1 project here. Now I'm going to see what are the areas we need. So first thing that we need is we need to add all those reference libraries. First thing that we need to add all those reference libraries. How do we add? So right click on your framework, or your right click on your project. You can go to your build path and the configure build path. You can go to your build path and the configure build path. You can go to your add external jars, like these are my Selenium jars which I have downloaded. I can select these, open. I can select the remaining two, open. Now this is what Selenium jars I have added. Either I can add Selenium server, or either I can add all the language bindings that is used in Selenium Java. Then I need the Cucumber libraries as well. So I can go back here and Bdd libraries. So these are all my Bdd libraries. I can select all, which I just now showed before some time. I'm going to select all those Bdd libraries, and I'm saying open. Okay, once I said open, you can see all the reference libraries are added here in my project configuration path. I can simply say apply. I can simply say OK. Now if you can see in the reference libraries folder, I do have my Selenium libraries, and I do have my Cucumber Bdd libraries. Okay, so we are all set to start with our Cucumber and Bdd implementation. Now the first thing is to add a build path in the configuration path. Now the second thing, I'm going to create a new or a feature file. Now I go back here. Now what is in Bdd Cucumber? What is there in Bdd Cucumber? So there are two things. One, that is a feature file. Another one, that is a definition file. People will ask you question in interview. Okay, now what is feature file and what is definition file? So feature file, which allows you to write all your scenarios in plain English language. Okay, or we can say in bracket in Gherkin. Now when we say feature file allows you to write all your code, all scenarios in the plain English language or Gherkin language, by default, when Gherkin language we say it supports you the Gwd concept. That means you can write your feature file in the given when and then format. Okay, I'll show you, don't worry. Now when we talked about the definition file, now definition file which allows you to add all your technical or implementation of feature file. Okay, it will allows you to write all your technical implementation of your feature file. So whatever scenarios you are writing in the feature file, those will be implemented within this definition file. Like you can use Java language, you can use C Sharp, you can use Python, you can use R language, any other language, and you can write all this code base implementation in this definition file. So here it is plain text, here it is a language which you are planning to select for implementation. Okay, so now I am going to show you how to create that feature file first. Now go back to our implementation. Now these are my reference library. So what I'll do, I'll create first a new folder. So let me create a new folder. So I'm going to create a new folder within this, and the folder name is let's say features. Okay, so I can write a new, oh sorry, I created a file, I'm so sorry. So I'm going to create a new folder in this session. The folder name is your features. Okay, now I have created this feature folders. Now within this features folder, what I'm planning to think that I'm going to add all my feature file for each and every application or every different test cases or every different scenarios in this folder. So about this folder, now I'm just going to create the new feature file. So right click, new, and now I'm going to create a file. Now I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to give the name to this file as sample.feature file. Okay, I'm going to give the name sample.feature file. Once I click on OK, if you can see my sample feature file, the Cucumber feature file is created. So okay, just give me a second. This is, the font is very small, so I'm going to increase the font so that you can see it clearly. So let me increase the font. Just a minute. I'm going to increase that to 22 so that anyone can see. Apply and okay. So now if you can see in the features file on the left hand side on my package explorer, if you can see there is a new file is added. If you can see, it's I mean icon is also changed. It's a cucumber option. It's a cucumber icon for feature file. Okay, this file is not a simple or the normal text file. This is a feature file. Okay, now I am going back here on my sample feature file. So I'll just make it bigger and I can explain you now. Now these are all the comment. Okay, these are all my template comment. Okay, this is a sample template which we have created where I can get all this information like who is the author of this file, who implemented this scenario, what are the keywords summary, those are used in this particular feature file. Then what are the scenarios we are going to cover in this particular file, what are the given and the when and then statement. Okay, all those things are defined here. If you can see, it is mentioned what is given. So given is some of your precondition step. It says what is when, so those are your key actions, and then is your validation or expected outcomes or condition, expected results. Okay, now there are so many keywords which we are going to see in upcoming sessions also. So now I'm going bit down, and this is what I'm going to explain you. Now whenever you said at the rate, this at the rate will mention you the tag. It will mention you the tag. Let's say if I'm saying this is my a feature, so this is nothing but my feature. Now you guys are more than enough to understand what is feature and what is scenarios and all other areas. So feature is high level. Under one feature there may be a multiple scenario. Let's say I have the feature of uh, uh, any of the fund transfer. That is my one of feature. Now in fund transfer I can do within one scenario is within same bank statement, or within or internal or to self. Second one is to outside of the same bank, and then within the same bank. These are my multiple scenarios for the one feature. Now same way we can consider this is my a login feature. Let's say I'm going to give the name that this is my login feature. Okay, and if you can see, this is plain English. Okay, now this is my login feature, and what it says, I wanted to use this template for my application login feature testing, for example. Okay, now I said what is this? So I said this is my first scenario. I said this is my first scenario. Okay, now what is my scenario? I said the scenario title is successful login into application. Okay, I said successful login into application. Now if you can see, I told you what exactly that feature file use. So feature file which will write in plain English language, Gherkin language, and again Gherkin language use Gwd concept, that is given, when, and then. Now if we can go back and see our scenarios, here we can see it has a given, when, and then. It says given, when, then. So this is my precondition. Now this is my action, and this is my expected results or expected outcomes to validate the outcome. Now if I wanted to write this successful login into application scenario, how do I start? So given I have a valid username and password, for example, then I have also, when I say and is additional given or precondition, additional give precondition. Let's say my first condition is I have valid username and password, then I have a application, for example, application URL. Okay, that is my second precondition. When I do have that, then my action says I enter username and I enter a password, and I click on sign in button. This is my action says. So first, that is I have my scenario successful login into application, then I say I have valid username and password, then I said I have application URL, again my precondition. Now action says when I enter username, then when I entered password, and then I click on sign in button. So what is expected results? I am successful. I should, or we can say I should see a home page, and if you wanted to check again, and I should see a home page title. Done. So this is how I can write my plain Gherkin language with the scenario in Cucumber. Okay, so I mentioned this is my feature file. Now in this feature file I have added one scenario. Now I go back here, and I can see what exactly we said, the feature which allows you to write your scenarios in plain English language. This is my first scenario which says a successful login into application. Same way you can have the multiple scenarios like unsuccessful, or you can say invalid username, invalid password, and unsuccessful login into application. You can say the blank username and valid password, and you can say blank password and the valid username, and vice versa. So this type of features or the scenarios you need to add into your feature file. Okay, so now I just save this file, and guys, I am going to close it here today. So though we decided to every day to take this 40 to 45 minutes of session, now what I would suggest you guys, you can follow what I mentioned today, and any comments, any suggestion you have, you just mention that on the same video comment section. Okay, I would request one more time, you can go back on the same video, you can comment if you have any question or concern or any other things or any suggestion, you can just mention on this comment section so that I can answer it there itself. I will ping all the required jars on this comment section only so that you can start downloading with the same. Tomorrow I am going to explain more in detail about the definition, step definition implementation, and in the same way we can go one by one step for our this the free sessions of BDD, where you can learn the BDD from scratch till the advanced level. Okay, so thank you so much for attending today. We can meet tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I will share this timeline again and the session, all the videos URL by tomorrow itself. Okay, so have a good night, guys. Bye.